Good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning. I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. Come on in. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. It's 10 o'clock, but I am exhausted this morning. I just finished a USCIS interview. I have been back to back at this USCIS interviews, but thankfully they're going well. Oh, hi, Attorney Nehemia. Long time. How are you? I hope you're doing well. All right, guys. I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. If this is your first time, definitely let us know. And otherwise, let us know where you're tuning in from. Callie Lono from New York. Good morning. What part of New York are you tuning in from? The real Delicia daughter says, "Good morning. It's so hard to reach you. I'm sorry. I'm just like so busy. Like I am being pulled in every different direction. Like right now, I don't even drink caffeine, but I feel like I need coffee like to stay awake because of just the amount of work I'm doing. Like I said, I was up at 4 something this morning so that I could get to USCIS for a super early interview, which my client got approved on the spot, and she's getting sworn in about an hour to become a US citizen. So I'm very excited for her. Good morning, Carl on YouTube. And good morning, Facebook as well. Good morning from Port St. Lucie, from Boston, Massachusetts. Burley, good morning. Okay, guys, so if you don't know me, my name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration lawyer, and I represent clients all over the United States with their immigration matter, family, consular processing, humanitarian cases like VAWA, U visas, T visas, naturalization. We've been doing a ton of naturalization right now because so many people are just so desperate to become US citizens so they don't have to deal with any what ifs, and all of that. So we'll be happy to handle your case. You can call us at 407-995-6567 or 678-325-1037 to schedule a consultation. Good morning from Springfield, Massachusetts, Dream Queen of Hearts. Thank you for tuning in. I know I saw someone that said this is your first time. Apata from Houston. Good morning. Karen from so many people from Massachusetts today. Good morning and thank you. Just want to ask, VAWA was approved. Can you take up the filing for the 485? Absolutely. We can definitely continue that. Congrats on your VAWA approval. Boo for the Booless. I feel like you have been following me for the last 3 years. So that's great to hear that your case was approved. Bamel says, this is my first time joining. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, I sound low energy today because when I tell you I am so sleepy, I am so exhausted, like, I'm barely getting up to 4 hours of sleep, which is not sustainable. And I need to kind of balance this. But I'm going to push through today, But let's see. So, as always, drop your questions in the chat. If I can answer them, I'll answer them. All right. Someone says, I love your smile. Thank you so much. Is there currently a delay in receiving receipt notices from Nebraska Service Center? Yes, absolutely. It is so ridiculous. I'm glad that someone actually brought this up because I was going to talk about that. USCIS, there's a shortage of staff right now. And with all of this, reduction of government and, reducing the workforce, we're literally seeing, we got a receipt yesterday for a case that we filed in September, like a VAWA case that we filed in September in Nebraska. We're seeing more than a 3-month delay in receipt notices for humanitarian-based cases. Not as much for marriage-based cases, where you're paying a filing receipt, but it is insane, the delay. They've removed the ombudsman, where we would usually go and try to seek help right now. And they basically dismantled that organization as of, last week or week and a half ago. So they're just basically, you're just essentially waiting They're just essentially waiting. I don't know why, but yeah, we're definitely seeing a delay with that. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. Somebody else also said, yeah, someone else said, yes, taking forever. Flower lady turned lawyer says, first time new immigration attorney. Hey, congrats. Welcome to the wonderful wild world of immigration. I will tell y'all, immigration is one of the most difficult areas of law. And, y'all be kind to your lawyers because you have no idea, how difficult it is to be consistently changing and adapting and pivoting and learning new laws to be able to represent your clients. Because, unlike many other areas of law that stay dormant, like immigration, just like similar to, I'll say another area that's similar would be like in the accounting world, like with each new administration, new laws come out and they're just like back to back to back to back to back, so, it's a very difficult area, but I also think it's very rewarding because, of course, there's nothing more spectacular than, helping someone gain their freedom and, path to normalcy in their lives. So, it is rewarding, but it's a lot of work. And, I wish you well, in your journey as an immigration lawyer. So Bella says, love you and the work you do. Thank you so much. Someone says, please try and rest. We all need you. Son, I do and I want to rest, but let me tell y'all, these clients don't believe that we should be resting, because if you don't call somebody or if you don't respond to oh my gosh, I've been calling you, even though like I am on the phone, I am in immigration office, I am doing this, like, so it's not easy, but sometimes, I understand the pressure, but I think sometimes clients also don't understand that we as lawyers are human beings and that our hands are like so full and that they don't think that we deserve to rest. Like, I've actually had somebody saying, oh my gosh, why didn't you do this? Like, but you're in live. Live is part of my job. Like, I have to come on live and educate people of what's going on and what they qualify for. But, I will try to rest. I'm going on vacation very soon. And hopefully I can rest. I generally don't have much time to rest during vacation, but I'm making it a point of duty to rest because, otherwise it's just not sustainable. Someone says, are you Igbo? Yes, I am Igbo. And the question is, will Trump end valid claims? Not that I know of, again, this is something that was, codified by Congress. So that has to go through congressional proceedings. But then again, honestly, a lot of things that violate the law have been happening. So, there was a time where you said, well, it's illegal. You can't do certain things. I can't say. I truly cannot tell you anymore, in terms of what or what not. I can only tell you the law today. And as you guys know, if this is your first time, one thing I always say is that I am not one for speculation. I am not one for fear mongering. I'm not one from, oh, I heard this is coming up. Oh, I heard this is. If it is not the law, or if it is not a rule, or if it is not relevant to my base, I am not discussing it. There is enough of that fear and pandemonium and trauma going on social media. And I know that the idea is to scare people, but I am not about that. It's like, I have work to do. And so I have chosen that my platform is only going to report the law when it becomes the law, not could it become the law, and only report as we are getting approvals so that people understand that regardless of what they're saying, these are still the laws and people are still getting approved. Because I don't need followers. Like sometimes people are doing that, like for shares or for people to follow them. Like that is not what this is about for me. This is about getting people their legal status because there's no time as now. Like it is very important right now. Like I'm giggling, but I'm very serious because it is a very serious thing. A lot of what is happening, of course, happened in Trump 1.0, just at an amplified version. This is an amplified version because, when you have immunity, as our president does, they can violate certain laws because that's what the Supreme Court has told them. Basically, anything you do, you can do it and ask questions later. Like sending everyone, all the Venezuelans that they sent based on the gang association or believed gang to Venezuela. I mean, from Venezuela, I mean, to El Salvador, when, you have to go through due process. So it's not a question of like, so using that as an example, it's not a question of, is someone a member of a gang or not? The bottom line is that everybody that is subject to the United States jurisdiction, meaning you are in the United States jurisdiction's land and soil, is subject to due process. Due process says you should try somebody before you accuse them of a crime and say that they've committed a crime. Whereas part of this fear mongering and tactic is grabbing all those people in chains, shaving their head, making, a pageantry of it, and putting them on this plane to another country that is not even theirs, spending millions of dollars when people are suffering, right? So I say that to say, I don't even know what I was talking about as I veer towards this. So I say that to say, like, because all of that is going on, I can contribute to that. I can't contribute to that. I can only share what the law is today and what we're seeing, that the law is, and, on that note, the law is today, as of yesterday, a federal judge basically put a stay on the cancellation of TPS for Venezuelans. So what that means is that, this new administration basically said TPS is going to be canceled next week, basically. And a federal judge basically said, nope, you cannot do that, and so right now there's a stay on that cancellation, but again, a lot of this, we're going to be seeing a lot of back and forth with the courts until things get to the Supreme Court, and hopefully, everybody, including this administration, will obey the law, so Katie says you look so pretty today. Thank you so much. Joe Houston, thank you. Mine said Aisha is my sister. Hey, what's up? This administration is using anxiety and psychological warfare against people of color. It's all mind games. Absolutely. It's all a psychological warfare, y'all, because think about it. Like, when you show that, why are you showing that, right? Why are you showing that? So, like, they've been deporting people before this administration, probably the same amount of people, President Obama was called a deporter in chief. But what they're doing differently is that all of a sudden, all of their social media have become a pageant to show we're deporting people. Look at what we're doing. We're going to just dump all of them together, like put on their white t-shirt and just put them lean on top of each other. So this is what could happen to you if you come to this country. That's to mess with your psyche. Of course, you should do things the right way. You should always do things the right way. But still, due process is a constitutional right, as I mentioned, that is promised to everyone. And so you should also, if we're talking about bringing the rule of law and following the rule of law, then the rule of law should apply to everyone that's applicable to. All right, let's see. Do you handle immigration marriage fraud? I'm not really sure what that question means. Do you mean like if you got denied, saying that you had a fraudulent marriage and you don't have a fraudulent marriage? If that's the case, you can, of course, we can appeal it and provide supporting evidence. However, we definitely do not take cases where there's fraud in your marriage. We absolutely do not. And it's not worth it for you to even be doing that, if that's what you're asking. Okay. Blue for the Blue says, I've been on active deployment for months. Hopefully I'll find a wife. That's funny. All right, let's see. What else do I have here? I'm an American citizen. I'm half Mexican and my husband is full Mexican. We're planning 2 trips, one in the US and traveling by train, another going on a cruise. Are we needing a burner phone? I mean, it's really up to you. Like, if you're not committing any crimes, why do you need a burner phone? Like, if you're not planning any kind of terrorism, which You're not planning kind of terrorism. Just, I would say, just chill on if you're talking about, because it seems to me that a lot of the people that are being accosted at the border that have the legal right to be in the U.S. right now are people that are like pro Hamas, and things of that nature. We'll never really know until like they have like a fair trial. But if those things are not relevant to you, you don't need a burner phone. If you choose to have a burner phone, you certainly can have a burner phone. For you as an American citizen, you don't have to give them the password to your phone, but no, without a warrant. But also know that they can seize your phone if you choose not to give it to them without a warrant. So, just be mindful, of what's in your phone. As long as your phone, you don't have anything in your phone that, is threatening to this administration, you should be fine. Okay. Okay. How long does do you mean how long does I-751s take? Because you wrote I-175. I think you meant to do the other way around. If you're asking for I-751, then those typically take 3 years. A lot of things are we're seeing a significant delay. Like 3 years just seems to be the average these days with most cases, other than marriage-based cases. That's what we're kind of seeing right now. Okay. Can your attorney accompany you to the USCIS interview? Yes. Most people that have lawyers usually have the option to have their attorney, attend the interview with them. How long does it take for USCIS to expedite an I-360? As long as they want. There's really no timeline. Sometimes USCIS can approve somebody for an expedited I-360, but still not make a decision for another 6 to 8 months. So because the expedite is not a standard, there's no published timeline and stuff. I have a question. If you do a renewal for a work permit for VAWA, how long would you take to get back your receipt? Kadian, I was just saying earlier that there's just an unprecedented amount of delay. I even feel like the delay in receipts right now are worse than the delays in receipts from COVID 2020. We're seeing a real delay in receipts. So, just keep that in mind. Okay. Like to the point where I'm just like, every day I'm like, where are the receipts for this case? Where are the receipts for this case? Where are the receipts for this case? And we're just literally getting them in little trinkles, that way. Jay says, if you have any pro-Palestinian Palestinian content in your phone, you'll be targeted. Burner phones are a must, in my humble opinion. So at least he said it's in his humble opinion, what you should have. But again, as long as you don't have anything that is terroristic, or anti-American, pro-Hamas, you should be good. Would you advise someone to travel out of the United States with a travel permit? I don't know your case or what's going on with your case. For my clients right now, and I've told them to not travel. Literally, the only reason to travel right now outside of the United States, if you have a case pending, is for life or death. And even at that, if a Zoom is possible, just do a Zoom. Just because, again, there's just so much violation of the law that, you can't guarantee to somebody that they'll come back. Now, have we had clients that we've told all of this and they're like, well, yeah, attorney, I've heard you, but I'm still traveling. Sure. And have they come back fine? Sure. But, for me, my job is to keep people here until they're able to get their status. So that is my opinion. But it's up to you. And, I don't know what your situation is, so you can do that. Okay. Mariah says, my wife did her N400 interview 110 days ago and still no decision made, and USCIS won't let me make an inquiry about my case. So usually after 120 days, so 4 months, which would be, I guess, in 10 days, if they still don't let you make an inquiry, like via phone, they may not let you do a service request. If they still don't let you make an inquiry via phone, you might want to see if you can reach out to your congressional assistants, to see how they can support you. Okay. Is there an increase in denial for valid cases? I don't know. Not in our firm. Our cases get approved if we filed your case, because we file cases that are strong, but I can't speak for any other law firm. Okay. Let's see. How long does it take to process an approved I think you mean to say I-24 to be processed for someone living abroad? Oh, the answer is going to depend on what country they live in, so with consular cases, and for those of you who don't know, an I-824 is basically where you're asking for your child or spouse or whatever to follow to join based on you having an approved case of green card here in the US. The timeline is different depending on what consulate you're in, how busy they are and stuff. So it's really hard to give a timeline. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, skip. Some of you are I think you're talking to each other. My marriage to a U.S. citizen got abusive very fast after moving in together. Financial and emotional abuse. I don't have much evidence of ties of abuse except text messages. And Missy, I can't tell you if you're eligible to file. For me, I would have to screen you and ask you several questions to understand your story. And if you're eligible, I will let you know that you're eligible at that time. Good morning, Optimistic Shakes. Sunnison says, I can be your PA during your vacation. Oh, I have a wonderful executive assistant. She's awesome, but thank you. Someone says, LOL, I apologize. You're human and there's only one of you. Just needed guidance and had one question that I didn't know who to ask. Oh, I don't even know what this is in reference to, but sure, thank you. Supreme Goddess Nani, I think you keep asking the same question about, do you handle marriage fraud? I don't know what you're asking me. Do you mean that your case was denied because they said you had marriage fraud and your marriage is genuine and you need to file an appeal? If that's the question, and you have proof that your marriage is genuine, yes, we can appeal it for you or refile. Yeah, so it's tons of updates with immigration law. It changes every day, not this week, last week, it changes. Yeah, pen to paper, literally every single day. Sometimes, it's easy when people say, oh, all of the stuff that's going on in America, I can just tune off, or I'm not just going to watch the news, or I'm just not going to read the news, or I'm just not going to check the emails just because I need to protect my, mental state and stuff like that. Fortunately for those of us in immigration law, we can't just one day's news that we miss related to the work that we do could potentially be detrimental to our clients. So unfortunately, your brain is consuming this, and which is why I choose to be an arbiter of hope and positivity and just share law that is law, because with that you can't change. But what I won't do is, and I'm sure as some of you see, if you ask me those questions to try to speculate, I ignore those questions because I choose not to speculate. When it becomes law, I'll let you know that it's law, but as of today, it's not law. It's like, I'm a Christian, and one of the things that I don't know what verse it is in the Bible that talks about why worry about the things you can't change, or the things that have not happened, so God has not given us the spirit of fear, right, but a sound mind. So I don't want to speculate and analyze what is in someone's head or what is in someone's brain, what they want to do, or what could they do, or could they possibly do this. If it's not law, I will not discuss it. If you want to have a speculative discussion or debate of what could be, then there are many other lives that you could join that love to do that, and you could go on there. Let me give you an example. I know a bunch of people, when they were like, oh, there's a new memo out on the visa ban. These are the countries they're banning, blah, 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 blah. Today's April 1st. We still don't have a visa ban, right? Of the countries or whatever it is. People just created their own stuff and just, passing it and just sharing that pandemonium, because really we don't know the countries that are going to be on there. So it's always, you want to be mindful of the news that you consume. to make sure that that's what the law is. Okay. Mariah says, can I still ask for help with the ombudsman, or is this service no longer available? This service is no longer available. Yeah. What do you think about this administration's attempt to intimidate, is that what I'm saying, immigration attorneys into not filing so-called frivolous mandamus lawsuits? To be honest, you shouldn't be filing any frivolous lawsuits anyway. So like, as long as you do, that you're following the confines of the law, you shouldn't be intimidated. Like, I know that I am a very ethical lawyer. I don't file frivolous lawsuits. I don't file frivolous claims. I'm very quick to tell you if you're eligible or not. Like, so, you shouldn't be intimidated, unless you're doing that. So they can do whatever they want as long as you are doing what you're meant to do. You shouldn't be intimidated. Okay, guys, I do have to jump off. I think I have a meeting right now, but I hope you guys have a good day. I hope I'll be more energetic next week, because I'm exhausted. Unless I have an interview, I got to check my calendar. But no, I don't speak French. I only speak English, Igbo. I understand Yoruba. I understand a little bit of Korean. What else do I understand? Yeah, that's it. That's all I understand. All right, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing day and week, and I will chat with y'all later. Bye.